Shut up and sit down.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Crash Helmet F1. Joining me on the show tonight is
Evan Kearns.
And I'm Josh Sherry.
So, gentlemen, breaking news this morning on the day of recording. Newey-gate. Adrian Newey is no longer the technical director of Red Bull.
He's been replaced by a Frenchie.
He has. What's your thoughts on this, Josh?
What's your thoughts
My
on
thoughts
French?
on this is, how long has Adrian Newey been with Red Bull?
Since 2008, I believe, so 10 years.
Isn't it earlier than that?
Is it earlier than that?
I think he's been with Red Bull since
Day
they
one.
started, which is 2006.
Was it the start of Red Bull, or did he not come in after like 2 seasons?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh my god. Can we?
Around that period in time.
Okay, and had Red Bull any success before Newey came?
No.
Not even.
Well, back when they were Stewart in the late 90s, they had
No success.
That's not.
3 podiums, maybe. And back in their Jag days, then they had one of the largest budgets in the grid and did fuck all with it.
Yeah,
So Toyota, in effect.
well, like Adrian's been an integral part of F1 for the last 10 years.
30.
last 30.
Well, Red Bull.
Okay,
for
well,
the last
yeah.
10 years.
Well, Red Bull here 14 years.
Who was Newey with before?
McLaren.
Okay.
And then before that it was Williams, and before that it was Leighton House March.
Okay, so apart from Leighton House, he's had success pretty much everywhere he goes.
Yes.
And do you think this is a good move for Red Bull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've come to an agreement on this. We think that as good as Adrian Newey is, he's too old school. And for modern day F1, you need to be quick. He's not a quick designer.
Yeah.
Everything is pen and paper with Adrian Newey, and it needs to be CAD.
Yeah, F1 timescales are for development are getting smaller and smaller in the off season.
Yeah.
Like teams are struggling to get the cars out in time. You can see it with Force India this year, and many other teams just bringing updates into. They're pushing them on to Melbourne.
They are, pretty much. And as I was saying to Evan, I have no doubt that the first iteration drawings of the Red Bull, more often than not, are probably the better car in the grid.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is that when it comes to developing that car, then you have to give it to an engineer. He has to create a parametric CAD model from that, and then from that point create the wind tunnel model, and then test over and over and over again. So rather than it being a parametric model to begin with, there's a step there where some young fella just has to keep pressing
No other
buttons.
team has that.
No other team has that issue, I don't believe.
But how do you explain then last year where Red Bull started off the season third best and then they got better? Like they were pretty close to Ferrari and Mercedes at the end of last season.
Like Newey still, he may be becoming one of the older designers on the grid, but his philosophy is still he can still win races.
He's a brilliant mind.
Yeah, no,
Like technology hasn't overtaken him yet. It's just in that process.
it is in the process, and I believe that yes, he is definitely still one of the best engineers on the grid, but it is just that time scale is everything. And as I was saying, his first iteration car was arguably the better concept to have in the grid, with the high rake and the the high efficiency as well. But
Newey was a unique character in the grid.
he was.
Have you ever seen any clips of him actually getting to drive any of his cars?
I watched him drive the Red Bull car. Was it the Leighton House March? The Red Bull he drove in that video. He drove both.
He wrote a couple of F1 cars off. That's
They're
all I know.
fantastic watches, guys. I mean, if you can look up Adrian Newey driving a Formula 1 car, you will not be disappointed.
He's also written off 2 GT40s and a Ferrari 250 as far as I'm aware.
The man has balls. But Finton
The man has no fear, like
At all.
at all.
Finton was explaining to us
Like the
other day-
guy's not a race driver,
No, not at all.
but he can hop into, one of the fastest cars in the world, and he'll have a go.
He don't have a go.
Oh,
And
100%.
It wasn't slow in the Red Bull either.
No.
He does himself justice behind the wheel.
He wasn't quick.
No, but
No.
he didn't. Well, apart from crashing, he didn't fucking make himself a
fool.
absolute shambles. Yeah,
No.
no, he wasn't a fool by any means. He'd do better than Carmen
who?
Jordan.
Oh, so
Oh, right. So we're on the
Carmen
Carmen Jorda story, yeah. So for any of the viewers who are unaware, Carmen Jorda is the FIA women's representative in motorsport.
Not anymore.
Not for long. She came out and said that sorry, we have a female in the booth there watching us very angrily through the window. She came out and said that women are not physically strong enough to drive a Formula 1 car or even a Formula 2 car competitively. To which Jenson Button responded saying it was a joke. And Tatiana Calderon, formerly of Dams F3, has decided to become Alfa Romeo's reserve driver.
Tatiana Calderon's actually quite good.
She was
She's quite
Dan's
good.
best driver.
She was their best driver.
We know from
Is that saying
a
much?
certain we know from a certain source. We're not going to name drop him,
We're not going to name him this
but he knows who he is.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Hi, Louis.
It's Louis. But yeah, he said that Calderon was the best driver in that team.
Yeah.
And do you remember the GP3 race in Spain last year?
Yeah.
She brought in so much entertainment. It was fantastic.
Yeah, she had some fantastic moves in that race.
I don't think the physicality is an issue. I think the only reason there's no women in Formula 1 is there's less women racing drivers, and it's just numbers game.
It is a numbers game.
I genuinely think that it is a matter of time. Within the next 20 years, we will see a female Formula 1 driver.
But will she be any good? Or will it be a paid driver?
Well, that's just like saying any driver coming in, will they be any good? We don't know.
Well,
There's
like-
no way.
We've had Pastor Maldonado, like, you know.
Look, there's nothing stopping if there's a female. There's definitely women out there that have the talent to be a Formula 1 world champion.
But there was more women in motorsport 40 years ago than there is today.
Yeah.
Why is that? Michelle Mouton nearly won the WRC.
Michelle Mouton was a fantastic rally driver. She drove in the scariest and most powerful days of rally.
Group B.
Group B. She drove the Quattro.
I don't know anything about rally, but I know Group
nothing.
B.
But Michelle, anyone who got into a Quattro in the 80s, or any rally car in the 80s, driving through Portugal with thousands of fans, literally touching the car.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes balls, and she didn't have balls, but
Can I make
she had all the recipes of it.
Can I make one statement?
Go on.
Remember, our demographic is 99% male.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about saying something slightly misogynistic or something.
No,
I'm not warranting it.
She's
I'm not
angry.
warranting it.
She's angry.
I'm not warranting it, but
Well, what do you want to say? What's your opinion? I give my opinion. Give your opinion.
I think Tatiana Calderon's fantastic, right?
This is not your opinion.
I do like Tatiana Calderon. I've seen her
we
in
like
person.
yeah.
But
You nearly got a photo with her.
I nearly got a photo with her.
Why didn't you?
She ran away.
And what did she do? She ran into her.
She ran into the Dams garage after being out in GP3 qualifying, because we got into the paddock thanks to another certain member. We're not going to name drop, although we have name dropped him already.
Yeah.
She ran into
Hello,
she ran into the Dams garage, and she was in her Dams gear.
Yeah.
So went in one door, came back out the same door in a Sauber shirt, and then walked into the F1 paddock. And I tried to catch her for a photo.
So hang on, you were creeping on Tatiana Calderon as she was getting changed.
No.
That's what it sounds like.
And also, apart from that, he's also saying that I wasn't able to get in touch with an employee of a company because they went into their place of work when I was trying to get a photo with them.
But speaking of women in motorsport, there's been talks of a F1 female series. What's your opinion on that?
That's very misogynistic.
Yeah.
There's been talks of it,
Yeah.
and it's been promoted, and I think Carmen George is even kind of promoting it as well.
It's probably because she thinks she can win. I don't think she realizes, even
she
in terms
can't.
of, she's shit.
She's not a
She's
very
a bad
good driver.
No, she's
No.
bad.
No. Splitting up sports like that, like especially when there's nothing stopping a female winning the Formula 1 championship.
Is
Yeah.
there not, though? Because it's like saying, should we mix men and women in all sports then? If there's no physicality difference, and physicality plays no effort in an F1
I'm
car.
not saying that. I'm saying
Well, it does, though. That's my
I'm
point.
saying women are capable of winning it.
The new F1 cars are very physical.
They are very physical.
Very
So
physical.
that makes me wonder then. Is
But
the
there's
case
lower grades. There is lower grades of.
It's called cyber.
I think the reason there is female tennis, female basketball, female soccer is there's markets there to watch that sport.
Right.
Is there a market there to watch
Carmen
a
Jordan.
female only grid? I think
I don't think so.
I think there's
No.
just as much of a market to watch a lower grade of motorsport. Let it be
Formula
F3 or
1.5.
anything. You know, there's I like to see women mixed in the grid.
No, absolutely. No, we want to see it. It's a very male-dominated sport. We want to see a bit more of a blend throughout the paddock.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there's just not enough females getting involved at the early ages.
You
And-
tiptoed around that very well.
Just tiptoe all the time. You have to.
You'll be a ballet dancer.
So on the talk then,
When are we going to have our first non-binary F1 champion?
that's a good question.
Is it ever?
I don't know. Depends.
We'll see.
Yeah, might as well. On the talk of
Not engaging on that one.
on the talk of Tatiana, week 2 of testing. It ended as it began. Really.
It ended the same as the test last year. Ferrari looked very good.
But what about their new diffuser? Not the double diffuser, but the
The double
and a half.
diffuser.
It has the same effects of a double diffuser, but it's not actually a double
Yeah,
diffuser.
they're taking the air from above rather than below.
Exactly.
But, yeah,
It's very nice.
it is. But apparently, this is a design that's been in the works for 3 years.
Will Mercedes be able to design something quickly to replicate it?
Not if it's
or-
taken
No.
in 3 years.
No, and it's a case of as well because they run slightly more rake than the
Then the Merc.
Merc. That's the word I was looking for. I think it'd be a very, very difficult thing to bring into the car.
Josh, you know what rake is?
I was just about to say, never have I ever rake.
Rake is
okay.
when you. It's the height difference between the front and the rear of the car. So short wheelbase cars tend to have a higher rake. So have you ever looked at the Red Bull and how high the rear of the car is?
So it's basically the differential between the
Front
the
height.
height of the front and back divided by the distance.
Face down, arse up.
Okay. Bend over there, Sally.
But if you look at the Red Bull, it's a short wheelbase and it's got a really high rear end.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Merc's got fuck all rake.
Yeah, because it's a boat.
So is the Ferrari.
I hope the front doesn't fall off.
That's a great video. It's a great video, especially since Australia is coming up as well.
Exactly, yeah.
But McLaren, they finished testing strong. 97 laps from Alonso.
They did finish strong, but they've
They're
had
the
a
most-
lot of ups and downs.
They're the most improved team though. 3.5 seconds up in last year's times.
Yeah, but I don't know.
They're the most improved because they were just so terrible last year.
Yeah,
But they haven't had a good preseason this year either.
but again, say that who's had better preseasons? I'd aside from say Toro Rosso with a Honda, surprisingly enough, Ferrari, Merc, and Red Bull, and factory Renault.
Haas.
No,
Haas have had a very good preseason.
Haas have an amazing preseason.
Haas's preseason though has showed them that we're very reliable, but we've absolutely no speed around the track.
Craig Slater says the car looks planted.
Their
Yeah, but
times aren't terrible. I think they're a lot better than
And
we
they
think
did,
they are.
they did it on the super softs as well. Their times.
Yeah, but the thing is though is that a lot of the other teams were basically just patterned about their
Like,
testing for the fun of it. When
Haas-
Haas were still doing a serious testing program towards the end. That's a worrying sign.
didn't
That is worrying, actually.
Roman Grosjean qualify 6th last year?
In Australia,
Yeah.
yeah, and then they proceeded to fall back down the grid. Like
Yeah,
stones.
okay, yeah, they fell off a cliff. But is that because did they turn attention to this car very early on in the season?
No, 'cause
No,
it was
I
new-
think if they had, it would have looked a lot like how the Sauber looks.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but the Sauber is just basically a very, very shit copy of last year's Ferrari.
They're in
I
big trouble.
don't think Haas is going to go down the lines of just copying Ferrari. Yes, they're using a lot of innovation from them.
40% of their parts,
Yeah.
the most legally allowable.
Yeah,
The entire arse is
but
Ferrari.
Gene Haas is not in this to be a back marker.
Gene Haas is in this to advertise the CNC machines.
It's working very well.
I'd imagine there's a lot of teams actually have expressed interest in using Haas automation equipment.
How good's his NASCAR team?
Shit.
Has it won a race?
They were good, and now they've kind of hit a not so great spell.
Aren't they one of the most famous NASCAR teams there is?
There is, because Tony Stewart used to drive for
They
them.
must be because you can name them.
Yeah.
I know Haas.
Well, see, Tony Stewart
I don't know any other NASCAR.
Tony Stewart basically bought into Haas and it became Stewart Haas Racing, and then
Okay.
Tony Stewart won in the car with his name in it, and that's more or less why it's become very famous.
That was 2008.
It was relatively recent, actually. I think it was probably like 2011,
Okay.
2012.
I thought it was around the year because I seen Tony Stewart did a seat swap with Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well, he won that year too, I would imagine.
in Watkins Glen.
Yes.
Done.
Lewis looked very bored in the NASCAR.
Well,
He
it's
did.
not exactly their track for a NASCAR, is it?
He was faster than him as well, wasn't he?
Than Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
See, the standard of drivers in Europe is so much better than in America.
Oh, God.
So much better. No, it is. And we don't have to be PC about that. It's so much better. If we can talk about Nazis like you did 3 episodes ago, we can talk about how the European drivers are a lot better. Lewis Hamilton was right when he said he's no interest in racing in IndyCar because it's where he says you see drivers who struggle in F1 going there and then all of a sudden they're winning championships in IndyCar.
On the talk of fantastic drivers that went to IndyCar, Max Chilton finished 30th in yesterday's race.
Out of how many?
I don't know, about 60.
I watched it.
Midfield.
There was 221 overtakes.
Yeah.
They've new aero
Fuck
kits. There was 220. It was
me.
there was too many overtakes. I was watching it and my fucking head was frying. Looking, I was like,
But the thing is, though, right? The race still ended fucking shit.
the two leaders crashing into each other.
Yeah, the two leaders crashed into one another, and Sebastian
Sounds like an
Bourdais
amazing- Yeah, I heard he
was there to
did-
pick it up.
He won the he won the race. Yeah.
He won, yeah. But aside from that, though, people complain about the sound in F1. The sound in IndyCar is so much worse.
It sounds
Wait,
terrible.
what engines are they running?
Tractors.
2-litre twin turbos, I think.
There's no noise because it's twin turbo.
Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely disgusting.
Okay, but
And no power either.
there's been a massive emphasis put on the design of the cars for overtakes.
In a way, yes, but there was another issue that people...
What have they done?
They basically removed aero. And they moved, instead of having... They
So just
took away
to
aero
remove
and
dirty air.
made it more floor-oriented aero.
Okay,
But they wanted to go back to something that looked like the late 90s
so
cars, because that was when it was in its peak.
do IndyCar still suffer from dirty air, or
Oh, they do, yeah.
or do they have a better slipstream?
I don't think you'll see near as many overtakes in coming races, because the race that they were at was at both a wide street circuit, and it was the cars that drivers just weren't used to, so there's a lot less downforce compared to the last few seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of those as artificial overtaking. It's like the first year of DRS there was loads of overtakes, and then it's just fallen off a cliff ever since.
I like DRS. It saves the race.
I
It does save
like
the race, yeah.
DRS, but should there be DRS zones or should it be free for all?
I think free for all.
Same.
Go mad.
Go nuts.
If you're brave enough to open the DRS, fucking open
Do you
it.
remember in 2011 Vettel was taking 130R flat with DRS open?
Yeah.
I remember watching qualifying and I was like,
Isn't that?
Yeah, that was
It was kind of because of that they brought in the zones even for qualifying.
Yeah.
One of the primary reasons.
well, as well as that, they removed the rear blown diffuser that year as well. So for safety reasons, they didn't want people trying to do it again and ending up arse first in the wall.
the blown diffusers, I fucking loved them.
Yeah.
But then
if the fuel is there to be used and you have a limit on fuel, let them use whatever fucking way they want. Like, is it a more efficient way to use it by just burning it through the cylinders?
no, because you need
like-
to carry extra to do that. It's
Yeah.
worth it for
But
the
they're not going
advantage.
to carry. Are they going to carry extra fuel just for the blown diffuser?
Well, everyone runs under the limit anyway.
Yeah.
So if there's a limit there, let them do what they want.
You see, that's the thing. That's what I was reading an article. And that's why they're claiming Mercedes are actually have been so good the last 3 or 4 years, is because their electric units are so good that they can carry 5 or 6 kilos less fuel, because the electric units produce so much power per lap, so that they don't actually have to carry as much fuel. And then they're lighter every lap, and so on and so forth.
Are they? I wouldn't say that they're not more powerful if they're limited in power. They're just more
They
efficient.
harvest more
I'd
energy.
imagine. Well,
Yeah.
no, you're still limited on harvest, are you not?
Oh, are you?
Well,
I don't understand the
Well,
electric part of it.
Well, no, you're not limited in harvest, but you're limited on discharge.
All right.
You're limited to 120 kilowatts.
Discharged.
But I like the way
You're
whistle-
limited on discharge, Josh.
But anyway, on the talk of discharge,
Right.
no, if you're able to discharge that energy much more efficiently, you're going to need less cooling, which results in a thinner car, less drag, less fuel burn in that regard.
Like we said last week with the Mercedes, it's got a skinny arse and no bulge.
Exactly.
We're going to get a fact from you,
Would you
Josh.
like a
Yes,
fact of
Josh,
the
we
day?
would like
I'd love a
fact of the
fact.
day.
Right. Pick a number between 1 and 4.
One, yeah.
25 years ago, Alan Frost, he took a year out.
Alan Frost. Frosty.
Is
the
this-
snowman.
Is this the tractor comment?
It is the tractor comment.
Oh, the tractor comment. Let us hear the tractor comment.
Basically, he was after coming back into Formula 1 after a year out.
Mhm.
He was after joining Williams. Remember, Senna was set on joining Williams, but when Frost joined,
Yes. Can
There
you not
was
say
no-
Frost? You keep saying Frost.
it's Frost.
It's not Frost.
He's French.
Go on.
Prost, okay. Basically, Senna was fucking fuming
Right.
because he said whoever was driving Williams was going to win the championship.
Yeah, because he also had a Peugeot engine that year, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, did he? No,
No.
they tested it, but they didn't actually do it.
Well, no, they moved. Remember, when was Martin Brundle with them? Because that's when they had a Peugeot engine.
Brundle was there from 93.
3?
I don't know.
Are you sure? 'Cause Senna drove with them in 93, didn't he?
No, 4. 4 was his first year.
No.
It was because he died in 94 and that was his first
That was with
season.
Williams, but I'm saying this.
Oh no, Williams.
Yeah, wasn't Brundle and Senna teammates once upon a time?
No, they raced together really.
No, they did.
It was-
They raced together. They didn't race together.
No, let's
not
think
the
this
same
through.
team.
Well,
Gerhard Berger was Senna's teammate from 90 to 92.
So what happened in 93? Are you sure it was Martin?
Was it
Brundle?
Hakkinen?
No, definitely not.
This is
No,
bad.
it wasn't.
I think it's Martin Brundle. Check.
Okay, it was Martin Brundle.
Somebody. Anyway, Piers engine was
Tell us
shit.
in the comments.
Yeah, go on.
Basically, look, Senna called Prost a coward for not racing with him. Okay, and I think he was.
But see,
And
Senna called him-
basically, he said, "Quote: Prost in the Williams, it's like running a 100-meter race with him in running shoes and everyone else in lead boots." That said a lot for
Oh.
Senna's McLaren.
Yeah, that McLaren wasn't very good.
Yeah, but to call it a lead boot.
The day Senna died, he actually, on a live interview, he actually requested Alain to come back, because Alain retired in '93 because he didn't want to be Senna's teammate in Williams in '94. And Ayrton said, "Alain, I miss you. Please come back," or something along those lines. "I need you back in F1," or something like that.
Aw.
It's just cute.
It was one of the best rivalries
It was.
in Formula 1 history.
The best rivalry.
they never would have been as good as they were without one another.
No.
No.
You need competition to drive you on.
You do.
Seeing Ayrton lap Monaco in qualifying, what was it, 1.5 seconds quicker than his teammate, just
Yeah.
for pure
The
embarrassment.
thing about Senna and Prost is, Senna was incredibly naturally talented, could get into any car and wring its neck and set an incredible lap time. But if Alain Prost got his car 100% in the zone, Senna couldn't get close to him.
It wasn't even about being 100% in the zone. It was about 100% playing the game.
He played the game very well.
He knew it was a championship, not a race.
Yeah.
And that was what something stood to him. Even in the year that he lost to Senna in the 4-4, was it 7 points more he had than Senna at the end of the season? But because they only counted your 6 best races, Senna won the championship.
They only counted your 6 best races?
Because it was, remember back in that era, everything just used to fucking blow up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it was the 1.5 turbo.
Senna won 6 races then, obviously.
Senna won one less. Or sorry, yeah, he won 6 races and Prost won 5, wasn't it?
So is that all you had to do to
No,
win,
Or no,
win the
it
championship?
was 8 and 7. That's what it was.
Yeah, they won 15
But
out
how
of
many-
17 races.
Yes, they must have counted your seven best races then. Sorry,
But hang on, there's how many races in the season? 18?
16 back then.
16, and they only
Yeah.
count your 6 best.
7. Sorry.
7 best.
Yeah,
So they're saying, just out of bad luck,
yeah,
you're going to blow up 9 times.
pretty much. Yeah.
That's
As what was it
crazy.
at the end of the season? I think what it was that Senna had 84 points and Prost had 91. But because Senna had won an extra race compared to Prost, he won the season on countback.
The rules had to change the year.
That's
That's
not,
the only season it's ever happened. It
Oh
basically
it's
it
not an
cost-
accurate representation.
It cost cost Prost the championship. Prost should have 5 championships.
So do you prefer these days now where we've, to get a breakdown is incredibly unlucky?
It is.
It's
not due to driver error.
It's not well.
One that's not due to driver error is incredibly unlucky these days.
Yeah, it's not. It's uncommon. It's not unlucky.
It's both.
It changes the season.
It changes.
One
is it
breakdown can change
Is
the
it
season.
better? Should, if we even just look back to 09, 07, Jarno Trulli came out and said, I'm a big Trulli fan.
We never
So-
would have guessed.
Trulli came out and said that cars are becoming too reliable and that reliability should have to suffer for speed. And they should be at opposite ends of the spectrum, and it should be a keen balance to be found.
Well, now the thing is that we're very reliable and very fast.
Yeah, I know.
We'll go even faster again.
This is the Mercedes effect.
Unless
Yeah.
you're Ferrari.
Well,
And you just lose everything at the end of the
no,
season.
well, Mercedes and Ferrari is just like a Senna Prost battle.
It is. Yeah, they've helped one another massively.
Yeah.
They've brought the sport forward.
I
Tenfold.
want to see another 3 seasons of Hamilton Vettel pushing each other to the limit.
I hope we get it.
I hope we get it.
That's the stuff dreams are made of.
It'd be nice though if you got somebody like Danny Rick or Max Verstappen thrown in there as well.
Yeah, but think about 20 years down the line, you can tell your children stories about how 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel and 4-time world champion Lewis Hamilton went toe to toe for 4 years straight. It'd be brilliant.
As teammates.
No, that
Never.
would never happen.
Will it ever
It'll
happen?
never happen.
It'll never happen.
Lewis would have him as teammate. Vettel wouldn't.
Well, like that's the difference though with Senna and Prost.
They couldn't afford their wages.
Yeah, that'd be difficult.
Well,
Maybe
actually,
million.
we did have a look at their wages. Speaking of that, I have another fact from Ferrari.
Go on.
20 years ago, 1998, 12th of March, Ferrari were struggling to sign Michael.
Schumacher.
Yes, Schumacher wanted to go to McLaren.
That
Do you
wouldn't
want to
make
take a
sense.
stab at
He-
how much Ferrari offered him for a lifetime contract? They offered him a lifetime contract to remain as their ambassador after he retired and to stay with them in Formula 1 until the day he retired.
200 million.
4 million.
This is 1998. Okay, so how much the highest paid driver in Formula One this year is Vettel on 40 million.
Yeah.
Okay, then plus add-ons or whatever, but for teeth whitening stuff and whatever.
1.6 billion euros. Fuck it, I might as well go wild.
No, it was 52 million pounds. On top of he was getting 17.5 million a year already.
Tight bastards.
But he went on. But he stayed with them. He went on to win another. Was it 4? 5.
He won 5 on the trot.
5 on the trot. Was he right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
That was good. That was nice. That was a nice happy point to end on, Josh.
It was.
Fantastic.
Right, so thanks for tuning in again.
Cheers, guys.
From all of us here at the studio. See you next time.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Bye bye.
Shut up and sit down.